really wanted to do.
I love you.
I love you too.
I really wanted to do a gray and pink look. I just searched through all of my eyeshadows and I do not own a gray. To start, I'm gonna prime my lids with my Lorac Behind the Scenes Eye Primer. My lips are on fire. I haven't used that lip injection. This is the Too Faced Lip Injection Extreme. You can see they get pink. I think they actually do look a little bit more full too, probably because they're so irritated. It only stings for about 4 minutes. Let's set the lid. Because I'm just gonna be working with really neutral, actually, you know what? False, I'm not gonna set the lid. I'm gonna grab my eyeshadow everything brush. This is just a big fluffy brush. And I'm gonna go into Basic right here. And that's gonna go on my brow, like the actual bone itself, not up under my brow, but the bone itself, that socket. This is the Lorac Unzipped Matte and Shimmer Palette, and I'm gonna go into this bone color here, Undercover. This is the Sonia Kashuk Medium Blending Brush. I'm gonna pick up my It's a Princess Thing palette by Colourpop, and I'm gonna go into Juju using that same Sonia Kashuk brush, picking the eyeshadow up just on one side, you can see. And I'm just gonna pack this on the lid. I'm dipping back into the pan a lot for 2 reasons. Number one, the way I apply my eyeshadows, I start with very little on my brush and I like to build. I find that it's a lot easier to build up eyeshadows. You have a lot more control. You can blend out, blend out, build, instead of just packing on pigment, because there are going to be some eyeshadows that pack more punch than others. So if you just always err on the side of caution, you can build up a lot more easily than trying to soften and blend out when you've applied maybe too much of a shadow. The second reason I'm dipping back in a lot is because I'm really trying to pack this pink on. I'm not windshield wiper motioning, I'm not swiping, I'm not sweeping. I am packing this color onto the lid to get the maximum pigment payoff. Okay, at this point, I'm gonna start sweeping because I want to diffuse. I've gotten the pigment punch that I want on the lid. That is the exact tone and everything that I was wanting. Now what I wanna do is diffuse this up into that basic color. It's called Basic, it is a basic color. It's also called Basic, that I laid down first as a transition. So I'm gonna use the same brush I've been using, angle it up at a really steep curve. I'm gonna lay it flat right here and just start going back and forth. Well, the iPads are dead and they are put away. Okay, I have just picked up this little flat, it is a super flat brush by Girlactik, and I'm touching just the very tip of it into this Midnight Curfew from the Princess Thing palette by Colourpop, and I'm going to smudge this into the lash line. And I'm making a little bitty hint of a wing out here. I'm now gonna pick up just another flat brush. I'm using a different one because the other one is covered in black eyeshadow now. I'm going into anything that you would use for your concealer or your foundation. Into this shade here, this is called Candlelit. This is one of my mascara highlights. And then that's gonna go under where we just placed that black eyeshadow, and I'm gonna use that to shape this. I never know what primer I want to use. We are going to start with our matte Pores Be Gone primer from First Aid Beauty. I'm using my Nisa Angled Care Brush. I'm using a tiny dollop, teeny tiny, and this is going to go in the center of the face only. I'm gonna pick up the Coconut Skin Smoothie Priming Moisturizer from First Aid Beauty. Putting that on the same brush, using about the same amount too, just a little dot. And that is gonna go on the high points and the perimeter of the face. I do also like this primer, any kind of hydrating primer, I like under my eyes as well. For foundation today, I'm gonna just use my Shiseido Urban Environment Tinted UV Protector. This doesn't give a lot of coverage. It's SPF 43, which is really nice. I use the shade number 1. I'm still going to start with color correcting under my eyes. I'm gonna use my Buffy brush and go into Petal, and I'm just gonna pat that where the shadow under my eye is. I'm gonna do my contour before I put on my foundation, and I'm gonna go into Stone Contour by Maskcara. I'm gonna use the same brush, I'm actually flipping it over. So this is the small end that I used for under my eyes. I'm gonna flip it over to the bigger end here. I always have a towel in my lap at my vanity. It's filthy, it's stained, it's fine. And I'm just gonna buff this brush off onto the towel. If there's a little bit of contour left on it, it's not a big deal because I'm about to just blend it all together anyways. I'm now gonna go into my Shiseido Urban Environment Tinted UV Protector. I'm gonna apply some to the back of my hand here, voila. And I'm gonna pick it up on my brush. I like to distribute it around the brush. Just get a nice little even coat, work it into the bristles. And then we are going to go to town applying, and I'm putting it right over the contour. The contour is going to peek through because, like I said, this isn't a full coverage type of foundation, so whatever is underneath it is going to be able to be seen. So with a brush this dense, there's a couple options for how you can apply your foundation. I work the product into the brush, so I put it on the back of my hand. I really work the product into the brush, and then I start to kind of pat it around so you have some distribution. Once it's distributed, if you want to do swiping motions, you can. You're gonna get a lighter application that way, but it's gonna be faster. And because the brush is so dense, you're not gonna get a bunch of streaks from it. If you are somebody who likes a little bit more coverage, using a dense brush like that is a fantastic idea. And instead of swiping, you will want to stipple the color in. That is going to give you more of a full coverage finish, whereas swiping is going to give you more of a sheer finish. I didn't really put much of that Shiseido product under my eyes because I'm just going to go in with my lighter highlight color and brighten under the eye now. I'm gonna take the same brush that I have used for everything so far. This is the end that I used for Petal, if you remember, to color correct under the eye. This is what I used for my contour and for the foundation. I'm now gonna flip it right back over, go into Candlelit Highlight, and this is going to brighten under the eye, and I'm not using a lot. I feel like a broken record when I say that, y'all, but I think that it's important that I drive that point home. I'm never applying a lot of product to my skin. If you're looking for somebody who's going to do a really full coverage, Instagrammable, like super full coverage face and all of that, I'm pretty fun, but I'm not your girl for that. I want my makeup to be comfortable, wearable, realistic. And I'm gonna go into that contour color that I used, and I am going to apply a tiny bit of it to my nose. Use the big end of that brush, and I'm just gonna buff that. I tend to use a mixture of a pouncing and a swiping motion when I'm using a brush that's this dense. If you have other layers of makeup on your skin already, you might be moving around those layers of makeup and you don't really wanna disturb what you have already laid down. So if you don't have other layers on, a swiping motion won't be quite as egregious. But if you have products already on that you really don't want to disturb, the pouncing is going to be your best friend, just like this. I'm going to use the same brush for my blush. I'm going to go into Cindy and Ballerina, and I'm going to place that on the apples of my cheeks and work it down and back, up and down. I'm going to pick up this is just a big powder brush. This is the B squared brush. And I'm gonna use that just to diffuse that blush. So I used a pouncing motion to apply it, remember, because I have already laid my foundation down. So if I were to go in and swipe with a cream blush from there, I would be disturbing that Shiseido foundation that I already put down. Oh, because I was trying to hide. All right, I'm gonna use this little Beauty Blender Power Powder Puff. No, Power Pocket Puff. I'm gonna take my Kylie Soft Pink powder. I'm gonna take the powder and work it into the pointy end of this puff and then tap it on. And I like to bend it. They can't see you. Unfortunately, I can. I'm not gonna go into my Girlactik luminous face powder. I've never used a puff in this, so let's just see how this goes. All right, so right off the bat, I can tell you, using the Girlactik luminous face powder with a puff lays down a whole heck of a lot more pigment than the brush does. The finish is beautiful, but my face is much darker. I'm gonna take my Anissa multi-powder brush at this point, the HD powder. I'm gonna take that down the center of the face. Finishing up the eyes now, I'm going to go back into that It's a Princess Thing palette and back into that pink color here, using a MAC 221S. I'm gonna pick up that eyeshadow everything brush that I used at the very beginning, turn it over to this tiny end, not tiny, but smaller, the bullet end. I'm gonna go into Unicorn. I'm gonna take Kylie Cosmetics Coco K liner. Then I'm gonna take this Luxe liquid lip from Colourpop. This is the shade Prince Charming. It's from the Disney Designer Collection. Let's add a smidgen of this Honest Beauty Luminizing Glow Powder in the shade Midnight Reflections. Let's toss it on with the fluffy end of my Best Blend Forever brush. This is not a highlight that you have to be really concerned about going overboard with. It gives a very natural glow, very buildable, does not accentuate texture. It is a dream if you are somebody who just likes the tiniest touch of very natural lit from within glow. There's nothing dramatic about it, but in the best way. All right, I am done. This is it. I wouldn't have used the puff. I haven't used a puff in a long time, so I wanted to give it a shot. I've been an all brush girl now for months and months and months. I do like a sponge every now and then. I don't remember the last time that I actually used a sponge. If I could rewind, I wouldn't have used the puff. I would have just gone straight into my multi-powder brush from Anissa and used this to set my face. It worked out fine. It lays down a heavier layer of powder than I prefer, that I'm used to, that I like. I appreciate so much y'all taking the time to watch my videos and interact with me. I really, really, really appreciate it. Huh? Well, kisses. Eyes. Mwah.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.